Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was sleeping, had to wake up. Why? Every reason I can think of. God, till the day I keep the ink up. And my priorities.
What's up, YouTube? Today, we'll be looking at disturbing TikToks that'll make you question reality. So without further ado, welcome to Adam Strain Reacts. Let's get her done.
I hate to break it to you, but space doesn't really look the way you think. Not like this, or this, and definitely not like this. Those stunning images of galaxies, nebulae, and stars, they're real, but not exactly as our eyes would see them. The truth is, most of the universe operates on wavelengths we can't perceive: infrared, ultraviolet, X-ray. Telescopes like James Webb don't just take pictures, they collect data in invisible light. And to translate that data into something we can understand, NASA uses a process called false coloring. No, it's not to make them pretty. It's to reveal the hidden structures, energies, and movements we'd otherwise never see. So when you stare into a cosmic cloud of glowing red and violet, you're not seeing space as it is. You're seeing space as we've learned to decode it. Because space isn't just beautiful, it's unknowable. And every color we assign it is a translation, from silence to story.
If space is a vacuum, why didn't the lunar module explode like a soda can in a vacuum chamber?
Did you guys know that most of the information that's pulled from, let's say, satellites and the James Webb, which is aiming outwards, but even the ones that are aiming towards the Earth, that most often than not, what you're seeing as a result of those things aren't pictures. They're just a reassembly of different types of data that are put into a visual scale so we could sort of assess what they're seeing. It's very interesting because even, I mean, this is not conspiracy or nothing. Even on the open side of space, it's still quite questionable in some way, shape, or form. Do you guys think that it changes something, the fact that we wouldn't see the same thing with our eyes as they're seeing with the telescope, or it's still valid information? Let me know down below.
Let's get real for a second. NASA claims the lunar module was pressurized inside while floating in the vacuum of space. But here's what they don't tell you. Put a sealed soda can in a vacuum chamber and it crumples. Put a balloon in and it expands until it pops. Why? Because the pressure inside is fighting against the total lack of pressure outside. That's physics. It doesn't care about what you believe. So here's the question. If a thin soda can explode under vacuum pressure, how did a glorified tinfoil tent like the lunar module survive the vacuum of space without bursting like a balloon? The truth is simple. It didn't survive because it didn't go. We've been sold a sci-fi fairy tale with aluminum foil props and studio lights. The lunar module wasn't built to survive the vacuum of space. It was built to look like it did. There's a reason we've never seen a real-time takeoff or re-entry from the moon in modern clarity. Because it wasn't real. Flat Earth doesn't need fake modules and CGI. It demands real-world observation. And what we observe breaks the space narrative into pieces. Just watch Action Labs experiment with a soda can in a vacuum chamber. You'll see it implode as soon as the external pressure disappears. And that's just a soda can. Now imagine the lunar module pressurized at 5 psi, supposedly sitting in a near-total vacuum. Where's the regulator? Where's the reinforcement? Why didn't it swell, buckle, or tear apart? No blast marks on the moon, no crater, no dust. Just a magical craft that broke every law of known physics and somehow worked perfectly on.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
You are what you think about. Everything that you think about, you become. You become what you think about. Thoughts lead to actions. Actions lead to behaviors. Behaviors leads to lifestyle. Lifestyle determines your destiny. So everything begins in the mind. If you can control and wield your mind, you can very much determine your destiny. Everything is in your control. Broke people and successful people are both self-made, but only the rich and successful will admit it. They're the only ones that will admit it. The person that's broke, that's struggling, it's hard for them to admit that they are there because of the way that they think. But they are there because of the way that they think. Control your mind and control your future.
I don't give a fuck.
To be honest, I looked at it a few times earlier, and I think it's AI because the whole channel seems to be filled with AI stuff. So don't worry about your dogs being pulled away by vultures. I think it's a false alarm.
What nobody think about me. Because if everybody like me, then I'm pussy. He who is a friend to everyone is a friend to no one. I'm not friendly, but I'm a great friend. I don't care how the world look at me. It's the people that the world say the most fucked up shit about be the best people. And the people everybody praise and be like, yeah, this person, he's such a great guy. They really be barbaric behind closed doors. Damn. They don't have no morals. They don't have no principles. They don't stand for nothing. So I just noticed like some of your better people be the people that everybody don't like.
We're asking, what can I do with the electroculture? How do I do this? And how do I get the harnessing earth? And here you go. Perfect example. You could take a little piece of wood, you could wrap some copper right around there, place that into the dirt, and that will work like an antenna that will gather ether, which is the energy that's all this that Nikola Tesla, Wilhelm Reich, Victor Schauberger, and all these people talked about. And that energy will then come down into the dirt. It will magnetize the dirt, so the dirt will become stronger. And this is a plant that's just put on the balcony. So this is nothing in the earth. This is just on the balcony, but you can do this with your plants on the earth as well, and it will enhance the magnetism. Basically what happens is our soil starts to get dried out. The magnetism of the soil, it starts to deplete, and it pretty much becomes dead. There's no more force or ether inside that soil, so we need to reestablish that and harness that, bring that back. And this is a simple technique you can use. We put up more techniques on our website, elevate.com, but you can take your gardening to a whole nother level and grow more food very simply without doing much of anything. You don't need pesticides, you don't need fertilizers, you don't need chemicals, you don't need sprays produced by Monsanto and DuPont and all these chemical companies trying to patent nature. Just a little bit of wood, a little bit of copper, or even use a little bit of brass, because the copper zinc ratio in there is a little bit better, and that can even yield even more.
What I'm saying is
It's very interesting. I've seen a few things like that. I've seen a few examples where they put a system like that of a copper rod into the ground next to the plants, and the plants seemed to grow much more. They had like a test, and they had some that didn't and some that did, and they really did grow more. Has anybody had any experience with using copper in the garden? I'd be very curious to know if you guys had any results.
believe the history we've been taught. Here's a good example. Have you ever heard about Lewis and Clark going across the Mississippi? In 1803, there was nothing there supposedly back in those days. Okay, so now think about that. So we're talking about like 200 years ago, there was nothing west of the Mississippi as far as the America was concerned. Now talk about when these cities were founded and became cities like we know today. And explain to me how that makes even a lick of sense. Like, so how did Chicago go from like literally like a tent city in 1840 to Chicago like we know it by 1860? You think about all the central planning that would have took. Then you go like to places like San Francisco. San Francisco like had 1,000 people in like 1840. And then there's a panoramic shot very famously that shows the whole city in 1873. And it's a full grown city. There ain't one bit of construction happening right there.
I've seen a few things like that where it seems like the progression is very quick. That's why I guess some people resort to talking about Tartaria and the mud flood and older buildings being sort of founded, right? Found. So they get there, they clear out the mud, and then they reuse it, repurpose it. But if not, looking at the information that we have from those times between the 1800s and the 1900s, it is very surprising to see the size of these towns when you look at the populations of them. So why would we be building that quickly, that big, that extravagant also? It's a very valid question, to be honest. I have no answer, but it's a very interesting rabbit hole to go through.
Stuff, right? Look at the overhanging cliff. Let me show you from a better angle. Even the details here. All the carvings in the wall here. Like, look at that, bro. Oh, man. This is the coolest place I've ever been in my life. Wow, I didn't know. Look at the elephants the whole way along this. It's like the elephants are carrying this temple on its back. Wow. Bro, this is crazy. You gotta make sure you like this video. Like, take 1 second, and it's free, to press the like button so this gets pushed to more people. Because I reckon this is the best history lesson in your life. And I'm not even a history teacher. That's what's crazy, bro. You know what I mean? This is more interesting than probably anything else you've ever learned in history in school. It's just fascinating. Wow. How's the elephant here? So some of this stuff was destroyed when, you know, for 3 years, when that king, the Mughal emperor, when he ordered the destruction of this place, some of this stuff was destroyed. But the fact that they couldn't destroy most of this is hilarious. Wow. It's made.
So guys, I got the answer to the question you guys have all been asking yourselves. So where is the New World Order capital going to be? Is it going to be New York City, Paris, Beijing? Where? I know the answer. Let's see. Kazakhstan. Very nice. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was cringy, but I had to do it. Okay, I'll show you. It's really not like this anymore. Let's look. Check it out. That's Astana, Kazakhstan. In 1999, it actually looked a lot like Borat. But in 2012, they made quite a bit of progress. Look, they added a couple Freemasonry pillars, a pyramid on a building, maybe a World Cup trophy. We should probably take a closer look. Whoa, check it out. That's pretty impressive. Kind of looks like Vegas at night. Maybe that is a World Cup trophy. Or maybe it's a big monument to the sun. Or maybe the World Cup trophy is a monument to the sun too. We should probably look in the daytime. Whoa, check it out. Check out the owls. Is that Moloch? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's probably Moloch. Yeah, you got the big Freemasonry towers right there, pillars. Probably one's to the sun, one's to the moon. Got big, almost looks like a White House in the middle of it. Fountains, it's very pretty. Very pretty. Let's look some more. Whoa. Yeah, that's a big bird. I think that's a phoenix. And we know phoenix rise from ashes. I wonder what's going to be in ashes when that phoenix rises. I got a few ideas. It's flying toward what looks to be a pyramid. Yeah, that's definitely a pyramid. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, that's definitely a pyramid. Little Illuminati-ish. Yeah, I mean exactly what it is. It's actually called the Palace of Peace and Reconciliation. When they say peace and safety, you know what happens. Let's take a look inside. There you go. You knew there was an evil eye somewhere. Yeah, an eye with the sunburst right around it, and a big round table. I guess that's where Sauron's telling them all what to do. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, right? Yeah, they're not hiding anything in there, are they? Let's look some more. Whoa, is that a giant spaceship? Or is that an arena where the Hunger Games will be played? Maybe it's both. Either way, pretty cool. Definitely cool. So yeah, you guys probably hadn't seen this place before, have you? I have a feeling it's kind of important. One thing's for sure, it's very nice. Hey guys, if you like this content, please share and follow for more. Love you guys.
You cannot convince me that this isn't weird. This is the Mandelbrot set. That is a real plant. That's a leaf. The Mandelbrot set is an infinite recurring pattern. We call it a fractal. Now, when you make that fractal 3D, it looks like this. What does that look like? That's a fractal cactus. A fractus. Barnsley fern, math, looks like the real life lady fern. Begonia rex, this is from India. It is a perfect reflection of the Fibonacci sequence. Just like this elephant's trunk, this iguana's tail, these seashells, and all the other organisms that reflect that fractal. These patterns are inside you. When an embryo gets fertilized, that's what happens. Then you start to grow these fractal organs and you feel them in your fractal nervous system, all controlled by your fractal brain reflecting the architecture of the universe, while your outsides reflect the fractal patterns of a tree. When energy discharges into matter, we see fractals at all scales. Your veins and neurons navigate your body like rivers navigate land. Then we use those neurons to build roads that look like rivers. We mimic this in architecture and art because that is what we are. That is a 3D Mandelbrot set. That is reality. That is crown shyness. That's the Sierpinski fractal. If you just let the fractal go, it'll randomly generate shapes sometimes that took humans decades to create. Let's remove the matter from the equation. What do you get? The patterns of energy. Water on a speaker. Math equations used to synthesize or combine sound waves into one sound. At its simplest level, you can draw fractal patterns just using circles. It's how you evolve. It's how your cells divide. It's beautiful. It's elegant. It's how you evolve. Understanding it will give you an entirely new perspective on the world. Energy moves in a pattern. Light bends around those patterns to create shapes. The shapes connect in 3D and we experience them in 4D. Fractals navigate the chaos and you experience it.
Wow. The more you look into the patterns of life, I mean, in my opinion, the harder it is to consider that all of this is random, or at least to not find it extremely beautiful in the way that these patterns seem to create life and that life seems to live by these patterns. Such a beautiful world that we live in, and I'm so happy to be here. And I'm glad to be here sharing it with you guys. Let's keep going.
People, it's happening again. They hit Russia with the mud flood. Oh, you son of a bitch. Now, I didn't think I was going to be alive long enough to see this. This is mud flood. This is mud flood. For all those people who didn't believe me, I told y'all. This is going on right now in Russia. If you can't stop them one way, just send in the mud flood. And Pakistan, they're also being hit with the mud flood. What is going on? This one seems to be mixed with something that made it look like cement. People, the world is changing. Are we gonna survive?
This is the real reason our government doesn't take care of the veterans. Watch
I am
this.
not usually a conspiracy theorist, but I have one cooking and I genuinely believe
This
it.
makes a lot of sense.
I wholeheartedly believe that the reason the government does not take care of our veterans better is because keeping our veterans in a place where they're constantly having to survive instead of thrive means that they are far less likely to be able to participate in a form of resistance against the government. And I think that their input in a resistance would be our best shot at actually
Tell me this
overthrowing
doesn't
an
make
authoritarian
sense.
government.
Stay weird.
Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
Oh, dude.
Wow, that's actually a very good take on it. I've always found it super weird that, especially in the United States, the way that it's almost venerated to have a family member be in the military, and the military is very respected. But then afterwards, there seems to be a lot of issues with the veterans receiving care or whatnot. But this is actually the first take that actually shows me intention, towards the desired outcome for them not to be taken care of. Because actually, she is right that they have experience in that world, right? So whether it be for planning or for munitions or for whatever, they would have more capabilities and more to offer and bring to the table. So to keep them in a let's say, lower state would ensure that they wouldn't be as present in participation. Very interesting take. You guys think that makes sense or no? Let me know down below. I'm very curious to see what you think about it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my god! It just hit. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Wow, wow, wow. Would you look at that? When you think you know the whole story, you don't even know the half of it. So this is the Royal Infirmary Hospital in Scotland. And by the looks of it, this building is old. Do you know how long it takes for a building to turn black? So they say that this building was constructed in 1792 to 1794. But I have a problem with that. You trying to tell me that this building took 2 years to build? Now this was the oldest picture I could find. And the building already built up in the back. But it really puts things into perspective. These guys on a horse and wagon, hammer, chisel, working with the bare minimum, yet they was able to pull off some of the most spectacular, flamboyant buildings in history. Now I don't know what was going on in that hospital and what these people were being treated for, but something don't seem right about this picture. And apparently there's 5 or 6 levels underground. You see, we never built these buildings. We didn't construct them. They're from the previous civilization. Now I don't know who it is, and I don't know why, but somebody is telling a lie. They say that this is the Chaco Canyon, and it's nothing more than some ancient huts and burial grounds. But the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. This site right here, this site is intergalactic. You have to understand, this whole region is mapped out in alignment with the stars and the planets. Now how could somebody with no telescope build an entire village in alignment with the solar system? Unless he was from there and he was planning on going back. They've even got something called the Sun Dagger, which still is the most accurate astronomical calendar till this day. And then I find out that NASA have been involved and have been carrying out researchers and own part of the rights to the site. Oh, that's when I knew. Oh, you son of a bitch.
It's the second time I hear that about NASA being involved in archaeological sites. I think I've heard about 2 other sites. There might be many, I don't know. But isn't that weird that an entity that's made for space exploration, why would they be manipulating or monopolizing or being part of archaeological discoveries? I find that super interesting. How does that help their cause? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the connection between the things that we find on Earth and space exploration? I'm very curious to hear your guys' answer. If anybody knows, please let me know. I'm going to start looking into it a bit more, try to find a solution to this enigma. Let's keep going.
So what you're really looking at is a docking station and an ancient launch pad left behind by higher beings from a different realm.
A couple days ago, the tsunami that came from Russia uncovered some ancient petroglyphs in Hawaii on the beach. That is boring compared to what I'm about to show you with these vases. These things are from the Stone Age, and we now have data that says replicating them would be nearly impossible, and measuring them is a task in itself. There's also a hidden message in these things written in advanced geometry. The oldest of these vases are found in Sudan in burials that are 14,000 years old. The vases that we're about to talk about are found with replicas, which are really important because the replicas are made from clay. They can be dated. The Nakata culture did not have pottery wheels. That's what they're trying to copy. These are made out of granite, so thin that you can see through them. Though they look similar, there is a massive difference. To make something perfectly circular, you spin it and grind it with a fixed bit. Most people can't keep their hand from shaking while not doing anything. This machine measures how perfectly circular something is by measuring deviations. To compare the precision, a modern marble vase was made using one of these. The ancient granite vase is 5 times more precise. Now it's about to get weird. The outside diameter divided by the inside radius of the opening gives you pi. When the lip tapers into the vase, you get a new diameter. That diameter divided by the radius gives you the golden ratio. We're just getting started. A flower of life.
I must say that my mind is completely blown by this type of discovery. Whether it be in the pyramids and Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, it doesn't matter where you find it, but just the intense encoding of information inside of geometry. There's a part of it that I don't understand. Like, I could understand the theory of it, but even how do you encode it ahead of time? You understand what I'm saying? Like, how do you plan for it and then be able, like he said, in the measure of precision that they're using, be able to do that? I find it super, super amazing. And also, is it because, in a way, the ancients would have known that no message would be able to withstand time other than a physical construction? Hence, putting the information encoded into the geometry is sort of the only way to pass it on, and at the same time to make sure that the next civilization is advanced enough to understand the message. I don't know if that makes sense. You guys tell me. This is new territory for me, so let me know what you guys think down below.
Pattern defines the inner dimensions. The angle of the handle defines its center. The outer diameter is another flower of life pattern that defines the whole of the handle. The handle is a perfect torus, so precise you need a computer to show how accurate it actually is. Every curve on the jar follows a pattern called radial traversion at microscopic precision. I don't think you understand how advanced that is. To get the sizes of these circles, you have to start with a circle and fill that circle with other circles perfectly, then square that circle and do it again. That is where the spiral pattern on the imitation vases come from. You can see the radial traversion on the lip of this one. This pattern is optimized for energy flow, like the pattern of a shower head or this satellite antenna. This level of complexity using these tools is an absolutely absurd hypothesis. So whoever made these, why did they make them? Let's use us as an example. 1977, we fired the Voyager into space with this thing on the side of it. It's a gold disc with some cryptic geometry indicating our level of technological advancement. It is a Hail Mary into the future for someone else to decode. And thanks to the work of Chris Dunn and Ben over at Uncharted.
And that's a wrap for today, familia. Whether you're tuning in with the sunrise or posted up at midnight, I appreciate your time, your energy, your curiosity. Now remember, this isn't about truth or fiction. It's about perspective. So if this sparked a deeper thought, a laugh, a deeper question, then we did our job. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Keep the convo alive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you're riding the wave, because we're just getting started. So until next time, stay grounded, stay weird, stay critical. I'm Adam Strain, and this has been Adam Strain Reacts. Peace.
I don't know what y'all think, but now's the time for us to link up. Really think we on the brink of making a change from living this strange. Living this strange.